بيكم أعزائي طلبة وطالبات الصف الثالث الإعدادي في حلقة جديدة من حلقات الساينس تحت رعاية وإشراف وزارة التربية والتعليم. الحلقة اللي فاتت كنا بدأنا نتكلم على let's sum up كده، واتكلمنا على إيه. We talk about motion and the different types of motion, and we move in that if I add a factor for the explanation of motion, which is time and distance and time, we move in the topic which is called physical quantity جديدة, which is called speed, which describe how fast or slow the body is. And we know the definition of speed, which is the distance covered by the body per unit time. And we know also the different units to measure speed, either meter per second and kilometer per hour. And we also know how can you measure the speed, or can you identify the speed of the car by using the speedometer. And also we calculate, or we use a rule of speed to calculate a different examples for calculation of the speed, and how can you use the triangle to use it in measuring distance or time. Today we are going to move in another very interesting topic, which is forms of speed. Let's go and see what's the meaning of forms. Forms means types or kind. So now all of you think about it. إيه ده؟ في types للسبيد؟ Yes, the speeds have different types. طب إزاي؟ يعني أنا if I describe the speed of my car, I said it's fast or slow. Or I'm running faster than my colleague. No, it's not only this kind of explanation for the forms of speed. Scientifically, we have different forms of speed. Let's go now and say what are those types of speed, and we are going to explain each one alone. The first type of speed here called uniform speed. But this type have another name, which is called regular or constant speed. We have three names for the first type of the speed, either uniform. In Arabic means uniform, يعني أنا ماشية بسرعة منتظمة. We are going to explain what the meaning of this now, but now you have to know that it has three names, because you are going to confuse in the exam between the three names. All of them have the same meaning, either uniform, regular or constant speed. The second type is non-uniform speed. Non-uniform means it's not uniform, but don't mention and said no uniform. It's non-uniform speed. It has another name. Yes, it is called irregular speed. Non-uniform speed or irregular speed. And we have the third type, which is average speed. All of you know the meaning of the word average from the mathematical relation. If you want to calculate the average of something, you know how can you use it. And the last type or form of speed is relative speed. Relative, it means that relative to something. So now let's repeat what are the four forms or four kinds of speed. Number one, uniform or regular or constant speed. Number two, non-uniform or irregular speed. Number three, average speed. And finally is relative speed. Today in this session we are going to discuss only two types of this speed, which is uniform and non-uniform. Let's go and see how. I'm going to tell you a very short story about this type of speed. Wake up in the morning and I took my car to go to my work, and then I start to drive. And when I'm driving, I know the distance from my home to my work. It's a fixed distance that I took it every day. So I know the distance and I want to go to my home, but slowly. I'm not going in to run or to speed up. So every morning I have to use equal distance and equal time. So if I know how can I calculate my speed? Or I know from the speedometer that I told you about it later, or previously, that I use it to identify the speed, so I can count the speed that I'm moving in it. So in this case, I'm moving with uniform or constant or regular speed. This is a short story about it. Let's go and see it in this shape. The uniform speed here, look at this car. I have this car. This is my car, the blue car. So I'm covering the first distance in this direction, and after 1 second, I covered 20 meters. I start to operate my car, and after the first second, I'm covering only 20 meters. Concentrate with me. And then after the second second, I'm covering next 20 meters. And in the third second, I'm covering the also 20 meters. Pay attention now. What do you see here? Here I can see that in the first second I covered 20 meters. It's a fixed distance, 20 meters. I can count it. Okay, and in the next second I covered also 20 meters. And in the third second also I covered 20 meters. So here, what are the fixed value I have here? I have fixed distance, which equal amount of distance. Every 1 second I'm moving 20 meters, 20 meters. And I have also equal intervals of time or equal period of time, which is 1 second. Every 1 second I covered 20 meters, and the second I covered also 20 meters. If any one of my relatives call me, where are you? I can say to him, I'm coming in about a certain time. Why? Because I know here that I'm moving with a constant speed. I'm not speeding up. So after 1 hour, I know that I'm reaching this space. That it looks like when we're moving and we're traveling to Alexandria or anyway, you can see a sign if you're moving that he told you the distance that you are going to cover is 120 kilometers, and then after a while the distance which is after that is 100 kilometers or 80 kilometers, and then so you can, anyone call you, you can know where are you. So from this long story, I want you to know what's meant by regular speed. I know that all of you, you know it very well, but now here, how can I know how can I define this type of speed? Uniform speed is a type of speed or a form of speed in which the body, and the body here means car, bus, you, runner, anything. It's not a body. It's the speed by which the body covered equal distance at equal periods of time. Equal distance at equal periods of time. Yani now put in your consideration, when we are going to define the uniform speed, we have two equal factors. Which factors? The factors that you are going to calculate the speed with, which is distance and time. And just put equal and equal. It's very easy, very nice and easy definition, which is uniform speed. It's the speed by which the body covered equal distance at equal periods of time. And sometimes you can write equal intervals of time. It's the same meaning. Okay, so can I calculate the speed of my speed here? Yes, of course, I can calculate my speed here. I have distance and time. Just divided distance over time, so easily I can get my speed. Let's see here. I can calculate the speed in the first second. Yes, of course. I have what? Distance, which is 20 meters, divided by the time, which is 1 second. So here the speed is 20 meters per second. So excellent. But can you calculate to me your speed in the next second? Let's try. Yes, it's 20 over 1 second. So it's also 20 meters per second. Let's move to the third movement. Also, it's 20 divided 1 second, so it's 20 meters per second. Can you recognize anything here? Yes, the speed is constant. In the three intervals of time, I have the same speed, which is 20 meters per second. So actually, I moved with uniform or constant or regular speed. Okay, so I'm going to revise it again. What's meant by uniform speed? It's a form of speed in which the body covered equal distance at equal periods of time. Okay, let's move to the second part, and I know that you are going to recognize now what is the topic that we are going to change. In this type of speed, we have two different definitions. Let's go and see how. Look to this car. This car is moving, and this car is an example of the car that we saw it every day in our daily life, which is moving in the crowded area, either the buses or the cars or the trains that are moving in the crowded areas. So, can you calculate its speed? Let's see, yes or no. Look at this car. This car is covering 10 kilometers in the first 10 minutes. And then it covers 25 kilometers in the next 10 minutes. Pay attention to me. I said here 25 kilometers in the first 10 minutes. And in the second 10 minutes, this car covered 35 kilometers. And in the third 10 minutes, it covers 40 kilometers. Look to this example. What is the fixed factor here? The fixed factor here is the time. Every 10 minutes, the car moves different distance. Let's see here. Can I know the position of this car anytime, or can I recognize the speed of this car in any time? Yes, I can calculate it, but it's different or constant. Let's go and see. If I want to calculate it for in the first 10 minutes, it's completely different than the next 10 minutes and completely different from the next 30 minutes. So it's not easy to calculate it. So this kind is called non-uniform speed, and you saw it every day in the crowded and the traffic areas all around us. So this kind is called non-uniform speed. But how can I define it? Easily. Look at the car. The car here covered what? The car here covered equal distance. Wala equal time? No. It covered unequal distance, but in equal periods of time. Hey, بصوا. What in the first 10 minutes it's covered 10 kilometers at the beginning, and then in the next 10 minutes it covered 25 kilometers. يعني here أنا مثبتة إيه؟ أنا مثبتة التايم. كل 10 minutes بغير السرعة. شوية ألاقي مطب أقف، شوية ألاقي الدنيا ماشية أسرع، بعد شوية في traffic أقف، highway, and then I'm increasing my speed. So this is the meaning of non-uniform speed. But here, every 10 minutes, I change my speed. So I fix the time. So can I define it? Now, very easily. It's a form of speed in which the body or the object covered what? Unequal distance. أنا بتشانge the distance. But which is fixed the time at a equal period of time. Okay? Very easy, the first one. Can I say it with another way? Yes, of course. But let's see this example. The same car. But in this example, I'm going to fix another factor. In the first example, we fixed the time. كل 10 دقايق أو 10 seconds, I'm going to change my distance. Here, look at the car. In the first hour, the car covered 30 kilometers. In the second hour, the car covered 60 kilometers, but in 1.5 hours, in half an hour. And it covers in the quarter an hour 120 kilometer. طب what here is the fixed value here? The fixed value here is the distance. Every أنا بغير إيه هنا؟ أنا غيرت التايم. Okay? التايم the first hour I covered 30 kilometer في ساعة. And after بعد نص ساعة غيرت التايم I covered another 30 kilometer. And after quarter an hour I covered another 30 kilometer. طب let's say now what is the fixed value here? Is the distance. The distance is fixed 30 kilometer, 30 kilometer, 30 kilometer. But the changing factor here what is the time? أول hour بعدين half an hour and then quarter an hour. برضو في الترافيك أو ما بطلت العربية شوية وقفت مشيت شوية ولقيت مطب and so on. But here I'm fixed my distance. But التايم هو اللي شغال بيعد. تمام. Here I'm moving with uniform speed but it has another definition which is احنا اتفقنا ان احنا we have two different factors, one equal and the other one is unequal. Here which factor is equal? Here the distance. يبقى it is a form of speed by which the body covered what? Equal distance. At what? At unequal periods of time. Again, what's meant by non-uniform speed? It's the speed by which the body covered here equal distance. At what? At unequal periods of time. Now you're going to ask me, Tab, we are confused. Which one of those definitions we are going to use it when explaining the non-uniform speed? Up to you. Both are right. The one that you like it, use it. But you have to know both. Why? Because if I give you a question now, write scientific term. The type of speed in which the body covered unequal distance at equal period of time. It's non-uniform speed. But if I switch the factors, so you have to know them because of this type of question, which is write scientific term. But if he told you define it, so you can use any one of them. Okay, طيب يبقى now we know both definitions of uniform and non-uniform speed. Let's sum up and know the difference between them. What's meant by uniform speed? It's the kind of speed in which the body covered equal distance at equal interval of time. Put in your mind, the two topics are equal and equal, so you are moving with constant speed, uniform speed. You can calculate it, you can measure it. Type. If I want to know what's meant by non-uniform speed, put in your mind, one topic is equal and the other one factor is equal and the other one is unequal. Type. Let's say how. Non-uniform speed is this form of speed in which the body covers equal distance at unequal period of time, or opposite, in which the body covered unequal distance at equal interval of time. Now let's go and make some exercises to clarify the uniform and non-uniform speed. The most important type of a question in this year is what's meant by. What's meant by a car moves with uniform speed 100 kilometer per hour. So here he mentioned uniform speed. If I say this type of question, I'm going to define the type of uniform speed. But here I have number. Shall I confuse? No. Just put the definition of uniform speed and add the quality or the number that you have in the problem or in the question. So how can I solve it? It means that the car moves or cover equal distance. How many distance here? Which is 100 kilometer only, without taking the hour, in each hour. So here I'm taking this number and know how I use it. So it means that the car covers equal distance, which is 100 kilometer in each hour. Next, move to the next one. A moving car covers a distance of 100 kilometer, but here in 2 hours. It's very easy. So here, it's which type? If I know that I can calculate it, so it's a uniform speed. So it means that the car moves with a uniform speed. But what is the amount of uniform speed here? I have 100 kilometer in 2 hours. So in 1 hour, 100 kilometer in 2 hours. So in 1 hour divided 100 divided 2. So the car or the body covered 50 kilometer in 1 hour. Again, it means that the car moves with uniform speed, which equal, don't take this number كده. No, you know that 100 kilometer in 2 hours. طب each hour I'm covering how many? speed قد ايه؟ يبقى 100 divided 2 يبقى 50 kilometer per hour. Let's move to next type of exercises. Give reason for. The metro moves in irregular speed. Can I move irregular speed and use what? Non-uniform speed. Okay, both are using factors. Okay, so why the metro moves in irregular speed? Because the metro covers unequal distance. بيغير distance, but in equal period of time. المترو بيوصل في ميعاده. But covering the same distance? No, the distance are changeable. So the metro covered unequal distance at equal period of time. Because of that, I said its speed is irregular or non-uniform speed. Next type of exercises here, let's go and move to solve problem. If a moving car covered a distance of 100 meters, I said before, if I want to calculate anything, I'm going to take the margin and put the given that I have. I have here distance which is 100 meters. And with a speed 5 kilometers per hour. Pay attention here. Here meter and here 5 kilometers per hour. Calculate the time taken. Here the missing is the time. What I'm going to do? First of all here, I recognize that I have the distance here with meters and the speed here with kilometer per hour. Okay. Can I use the kilometer with meter in the same problem? No, I have to change one of them. So here we are going to know a conversion that we can convert from kilometer per hour directly to meter per second. How? By using a number which is, if I want to convert from kilometer per hour, time 5/18. But let's go and see from which, from how I get this number. 5/18. If I want to convert from kilometer to meter, time 1,000. Okay. Type. If I want to convert from hour to seconds, I'm going to time 60 time 60. So can we make this calculation if I divided the two numbers here? So I can get this number which is equal 5/18. So this number that I'm going to use to convert between kilometer per hour to meter per second. I just explained it to know from which we can get this number, but now you are going to memorize it, and if you convert from kilometer per hour to meter per second, just use it by timing. So if I want to convert the opposite from meter per second to kilometer per hour, I'm going to use the same number but by division. Again, let's summarize. Kilometer per hour to meter per second time 5/18. The opposite divided the same number. Then I'm going to convert the speed here. I'm going to convert it to meter per second. How? 5 kilometer per hour time 5/18. So this is amount of the speed with meter per second, which is 1.338 meter per second. Then I'm going to use it in the calculation. I want what? I want here, if a moving car covered distance of 100 meters with a speed, calculate the time. If I want the time, okay, I said time equal distance over speed. So this is my distance, which is 100 meters. But now we are going to use which quantity here? Here? No, I just converted to meter per second, so I'm going to use the speed with meter per second, and I get the time very easy. Okay, now we reach our last part in the lesson of today, and let's sum up what we took this session. We start by knowing the different types of speed, either uniform, non-uniform, average, and relative speeds. And we start to explain the first two forms of speed, either uniform and non-uniform speed. And we conclude at the end that if I want to define uniform speed, I have to use two equal factors which equal distance and equal time. But if I'm using non-uniform speed, one of them is equal and the other is unequal. And we know from some exercises that we did before, how can we calculate either two types of speed, either regular or uniform or non-uniform. I hope that you enjoy our lesson for today, and we are going to meet you later, inshallah, in the next episode. Thank you so much, and goodbye.